What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Hemo Life podcast. Today is a special one because we're coming to you live from Iowa at the Bleeders Have Dreams 2 sprint car event hosted by Rocco Weber. This event is all about community, connection, and showing people with bleeding disorders that life can still be exciting, meaningful, and full of purpose. Today, we're joined by some amazing guests from the community to talk about their stories, what this event means to them, and where they think the future of hemophilia care is headed.
Hey, how you guys doing? I wish I was there. I'm headed actually to my brother's graduation. It's a terrible day to have a graduation, but I wish I was there with you guys. Rocco, I went out and actually toured your guys', facility out there, the track. It is incredible. And I think, this is just the first of many events that people, you got to tell them about the golden ticket. You got to tell them about Knoxville, Iowa. I mean, it is an incredible place.
Yeah, guys, welcome to the show. Rocco Weber here, brother. Thank you for being here today, inviting us out.
Well, I'm really excited everybody showed up for this deal because this is the first annual U.S. Invitational.
Annual.
Annual or annual? Anyway,
say it again.
This is where awareness and horsepower meets today. So I was born with two bleeding diseases. One's racing and one's hemophilia. And I've combined the two together my whole life. And I think there's a lot of things that both go hand in hand. I think in racing, you have to have a lot of awareness of where you're at, what you're doing. A lot of times you got to face your fears and live. And in racing, sometimes, you have to live a full life to experience everything. And I want to bring people that's never really won in hemophilia and bring them to the racetrack so they can see people winning and they can learn how to win themselves.
How did all this come together for you? I mean, I know this is something that you've had in the back burner for a little bit. How did you finally get the pieces to come together to create this?
Well, first of all, I've been involved in racing my whole life. My dad was a racer, and then I raced with my sons in quarter midgets, micros. We were pretty serious about. We traveled the country quite a bit. I always told everybody I was the world's fastest hemophiliac, but I got involved because I couldn't race. My dad sold out of racing because I was a hemophiliac. He didn't want me getting in the car and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I stayed involved any way I could. A lot of times I just kind of got on pit crews with people and different things, but I traveled with some of the biggest names in sprint car racing, and I've been on a lot of different teams. And then when I got to a retirement age or so, got on rocking chair dollars, we actually moved here. And this is the sprint car capital world. I spent most of my life driving up here from Kansas, so it's like a 4-hour drive where I usually came. Come living up here in Iowa, I was able to get more involved with the sport itself, became a track official, and then I got on the fair board as well for the Knoxville sprint car facility itself. Yeah. And then I started realizing I wanted to take all my connections with my racing friends and the fair board and being a track official, and I enjoy people seeing sprint car racing. So I started getting more dialed into the hemophilia world, and I started going to some national events. That's where I met you the first time.
Yeah.
I think it was out in San Diego or Orlando. And then I started seeing how the local chapters did things, and I started getting involved. And then I wanted kind of to show what I can do. I wanted people to see sprint car racing. So that's what I'd like to do is I created a nonprofit that's going to be kind of tailor-made for racing. And I'd love to bring hemophilia people from all over the country. I'd like to promote sprint car racing and race in hemophilia. And like I said, my main thing is to show that you can live life in the fast lane and be a hemophiliac at the same time. I think a lot of times people kind of live a life in a bubble, so to speak. And it's a mindset because just like racing, 90% mental, but hemophilia, it's 90% mental too.
Yeah,
if you don't keep your mind straight in the right direction, everything goes downhill quick. Somehow or another, I ended up meeting Dr. Joe, of course, and Dustin, and we got together, and they came up here for a visit during the wintertime and, toured the facilities, showed them what we had up here, and we just started building this dream from that point on.
That's awesome to have a vision to see it come to fruition.
Sure.
So what is it like about hemophiliacs, though, that we go through so much adversity growing up and, we just have this like feeling deep down inside that we want to give back. Why
you're born that way? Because, like my mom told me, she said, I asked my mom one time laying in the hospital getting a blood transfusion, pretty young. And I asked my mom, why do I have hemophilia? And she said, no, hemophilia picked you. And
so it's like a purpose. It's almost like God gave you a certain purpose, and like you get to decide, like you said, with your mindset, am I going to play the victim or am I going to embrace this and use it for impact?
Exactly. I mean, and that's where I say too, like on the racing deal, you know, it's so mental. Racing's 90% mental. You got to be dialed in mentally to be able to drive at them type levels of performance, mistake free. Hemophilia, it's really the same thing. I mean, if you're not dialed in, day out,
Yeah.
you know, you can fall apart quick.
It's just so awesome to me because we all use like different platforms. For Rocco, it's racing. For me, it was bodybuilding as a platform. For Dr. Joe, being told that you couldn't be a doctor, a physician, and you became what you have, and now a successful entrepreneur as well. It's just crazy that we all have like a different platform, but it's all kind of based around the same thing of like developing an elite lifestyle or mindset, cultivating that so that we can succeed. And I really think that was the premise of why we created HemoLife, was to teach other people who might not have access to mentors like this, and let them know, hey guys, you can do all these things, but there is a blueprint. There is a process to this. And, you can live a fulfilling life and a purposeful one at the same time.
I'll be really serious. I stumbled across your guys' broadcast or podcast one time, and I was blown away by the pure rawness of the whole thing, and not being certain things shoved certain ways, whatever. And it was kind of open, and it was like really heartfelt talk of being honest. And that attracted me. And I told you when I met you, whether it was Orlando, I said, you know what, I really, really like what you're doing, because to me, maybe I'm kind of new to the hemophilia world, is, until I kind of got in rocking chair dollars, I didn't get real dialed into, all the activities and stuff of it, because I was so busy racing and things. But I knew I wanted to be a part of what you were doing, because, I think that's something that a lot of people need to have, is to be driven.
Yeah. I remember you having that conversation with me, and that it's really nice to have those validating conversations, because sometimes you think you're doing all this work and it's not really reaching anyone. It's not really making an impact. So I do remember that.
And at that time was when I just got on,
was it disability?
Disability. And I didn't really understand how all that was going about. And you were asking me about it because, well, I can remember, when I was a little kid, I saw something in an encyclopedia, and it said the average age of a hemophiliac was 22. I remember that used to kind of bother me a lot, because I thought, well, but I have two uncles that are hemophiliacs that are 174, one's 84, and they're doing great. I always had them to look forward to, which was a blessing in disguise, but I never knew another hemophiliac other than them. Yeah. And I was never part of an HTC until I was 45. And we only lived an hour away from it in Atchison, Kansas, which is kind of insane. And so a lot of this, information has been kind of coming towards me quickly. Yeah. But I want to be affiliated with people like you guys that are really doing something positive.
Yeah, growing up, after like I endured everything that I went through, as I got older, more mature, I started looking back and saying to myself, man, if I just had someone to look up to, like to know that I wasn't, we didn't have that. So it was just like, so now we almost have like a responsibility and a privilege to help the next generation of leaders navigate all these things, from disability to chasing your dreams to having a family. Can you still be a father? I question that. Can I even be a father? Like, how what it takes? Like, I can barely take care of myself. How am I going to take care of another individual?
Yeah. And
just so many of those questions, we can help guide. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally. I'll go back to what Rocco said. Being a hemophiliac, if you are not dialed in every day, I love when you said this, if you're not dialed in every day, you can fall apart really quickly. And I feel like, I really do feel like personally, even my brother, I know, like we're kind of a different breed when it comes to, we already have all these other problems. If we're not dialed in every day, whether it's a swollen ankle, a swollen knee, we can really fall apart quick. And we need that community. We need like a podcast. We need that friend or that family member that can say, hey, let me pick you up. We need this brotherhood. We need these times where, you guys are, spending a couple days together in Iowa there. We need this to keep us dialed in, this community.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The raw truth is that this world does not give a shit about you. They don't care. There's no special handicap card that says, you know what, you have a swollen ankle today. Here's this little handicap card. You can miss work. We don't really care. No, if you keep on missing work, you won't get promoted. You won't advance. You keep on missing school. You're not going to achieve things. It doesn't matter. We can't, I've been in so many situations where I had finances due and they're like, no, you need to be in the hospital for a month. And it's like, I can't afford to be in the hospital for a month. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to provide? I remember losing my house because I actually did. I was bleeding internally, and I ended up having to go to the hospital, and I lost everything. You know who gave a shit about that? Nobody. Nobody gave a shit about
Nope.
that. I lost everything, and I had to figure it out on my own. So it is key to have guys like this in our lives to help us stay mentally strong through those hard times. That
Rocco, have you ever had a time like that in you growing up where maybe you had to like, hey, I'm a hemophiliac, I got a problem, but I just got to keep pushing. Did your parents ever say, hey, you're gonna go out with those other boys, or and you're just gonna act, you're gonna be normal? Like, ever have that situation where like it doesn't matter whether I have hemophilia, I got to do this.
Well,
You
my
know?
dad was a contractor. My mom's dad was a general contractor as well. Both my hemophiliac uncles are contractors. Everybody in my family is involved in construction. But like my dad said, you're a hemophiliac, but you're going to have to do things differently. You still got to eat,
Yeah.
so you still got to work, You just going to have to do a few things differently. You're going to have to wear gloves when your brother doesn't. My dad used to make me wear lace-up boots so I wouldn't turn an ankle as easy, and then he always kept, a bag of gloves for me. No one else was allowed to, the way I always had a set of gloves if we're doing something sharp. And then he taught me how to run a backhoe to try and stay out of the ditch, and taught me how to run equipment sometimes, to kind of make that a little bit safer. But, like you said, you got to eat too. And now I'm 62 and a half. And, I'm not saying, I still got a few good laps left in me, I hope. The fact is I have
until the wheels fall off, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I've looked towards my uncles for, even though they weren't really, with hemophilia, they thought at times they grew out of it and stuff, but I know there's kids today that, don't have no one to look up towards and seen somebody older,
Yeah.
and that's what I'd like to. That's what was really big about me. And I like the name that I came up with, Bleeders Have Dreams Too, because I do believe bleeders do have dreams too.
Yeah.
And that was my whole thing, was I want to tell and help people learn that they get to have dreams.
Absolutely.
And they can pursue them too.
When I used to go to events as a child, like hemophilia events, when I would go, they would be talking to these kids about their dreams. Well, what are your dreams? Like, well, I want to be a baseball player. I want to be this. They would be like, man, that's awesome. But did you ever consider that you could possibly like keep score, or you could do that? So like that was the narrative that they're receiving at that age. And it's like that's what we're trying to change. Like, no, we're not. There is no plan B. You don't have to have a plan B. Like that might be the worst mentality, really, that we're discovering, is like you got to lock in. If that's your dream, like chase it. Figure out how to do like when I started working out, there was no other competitive bodybuilders, and when I first started going in there, I was getting bleed after bleed after bleed. It wasn't easy, but then I was like, but there has to be a way. So I started searching, doing research, studying nutrition, exercising, how to do it properly, the right weights, everything. And once you put all those pieces together, that was, I believe that you find what you look for, right? So Tony Robbins, do you know who Tony Robbins is?
He's awesome.
He does this thing where when he's teaching the crowd, where he'll say, okay, everyone close your eyes. And then everyone will close their eyes. He said, when I tell you to open your eyes, I want you to look for something green in the room. And then everyone will open their eyes and they'll look for something green. And he'll say, okay, now close your eyes. And he'll be like, tell me one thing that was, the color red. Everyone's like, well, I don't know. It's because you're not looking for it. Same thing when you buy a new car, you start seeing that car everywhere on the road. So it's just like, these things are in front of us. We have to be looking for them, be willing to do whatever it takes to find the answer.
The mind's the strongest muscle you got, absolutely. and you have to develop it. It took me a long time to get there with that, but I was told, like I said, Dad sold out racing, when I was a kid, because he didn't want me getting in the car. He's worried to death about it. I played football when I wasn't supposed to. I made it to my junior year in high school. I was bruised from head to toe. There was just, and then they finally made me quit playing football, but I was told no a lot of things. But with racing, I just kept involved any way I could. That's what kept, as long as I had a race to go to, look forward to, that gave me something to look forward to my whole life.
Yeah, that's fulfillment. That's true fulfillment.
And it was the one thing that tripped my trigger. And so my whole life, racing saved me. And I was able, there's always a race down the road somewhere to go to, and that's what kind of got me through every injury I ever had, every time I was icing a leg up or whatever happened. And that's what I want to teach other people. I'd like to be able to show them, this is a pretty cool thing, and I want people to be able to enjoy it just as much as I did.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
and that's where awesome. This is where horsepower meets awareness.
Yeah. Thank you for creating Bleeders Have Dreams Too. Final question I have for you is, like, where do you want to see this go? Like, how do you see this progressing? Would you like to see more of these events in the future?
Well, thanks to good people like ASAP Pharmaceutical and John Thorson with Octave Armor. I mean, these guys are helping things happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. We need resources to bring these dreams alive.
sponsorships.
Without people like that, yeah, that's exactly right.
That's amazing.
We wouldn't be having this deal today.
I love seeing them put the power back into the people themselves, not just like, the chapters or organizations saying, hey, we'll give you money to do something. And
they didn't see anything. I invited Joe and Dr. Joe and Dustin up, and I showed them what we had with snow on the ground up here.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
I was not pretty in this.
We need that. We need someone to believe in us.
And I said, this is something that I'd like to show people, bring people in, and give them something totally different, a completely different lane, than what we've ever seen.
I'm excited. I cannot wait to see the race.
It's going to be cool.
I've never been to a race like this. It's going to be really cool.
It's going to be badass. I just decided to take my connections that I have in the racing community and kind of merge it with the hemophilia community. And that's really where it's at. And I love people in their first time. All the people we have up here, no one's seen a race before.
Yeah.
So it's going to be awesome.
Let's get into just a topic. I think that all of us have maybe experienced this at one point or another. But Rocco, have you ever experienced issues with access to care? So, I have a bleed, or people don't even, you go into a hospital, they don't even know what hemophilia is. Or even just getting into a hemophilia treatment center.
I never was a part of an HTC till I was 45 years old, and I lived 1 hour from Kansas City. So everything's been happening fast for me since I was 45, kind of getting involved with HTCs and learning about the industry and everything else. So everything's like a huge amount of information, and I'm trying to absorb as much of it as I can. All the flyers you get in the mail, different things, people that I've been to 3 national events. I've learned so much because there's so much information out there. It's kind of there's some positive and very.
But it's like, what do you do with that information? Because there's so much. What do you do with it after the event? Like, does it really sink in and make you say, hey, I want to make a choice?
What? And in situations like right here, we talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's what really is great because this guy's on that, this guy's over here on this,
How much does it influence you? How much does it influence you hearing from a peer rather than
100%? Because if someone's telling me they're using something and doing good with it, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about it or whatever, because everything's changing. You're hearing about there's new medicines coming out and stuff. So,
but I can see two sides of that. Because say you have a conversation with one person and they're like, absolutely do not do gene therapy. Like it's not the answer right now. Don't do it. And then all of a sudden you're swayed for good. But maybe if there was some more due diligence or a different platform, some more education to say, hey, based off of your lifestyle in particular, this could be, for his lifestyle, it wasn't. For yours, it could. So, and that could be a life-changing event for you. So, it could be a double-edged sword that way. But I'm the same way. I would listen to a peer.
I met this guy about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
His name's Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
And
I've heard of him.
He's a hemophiliac.
Small little guy, right?
Yeah, he's a hemophiliac. He's one of us.
Yeah.
The fact is, if he tells me something, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
And that is
we get a lot of true. Like we get a lot of people actually reaching out to us on the podcast about their treatment, their medical treatment. We get so many people reaching out.
I remember going to a dentist one time and I told him that I have Christmas disease, and he was a new dentist and I was filling out all the paperwork. And the guy says, really? And I said, yeah, seriously. I said, I have this blood disease. It's called Christmas disease, hemophilia B. And he said, my wife has Christmas disease. And I said, oh, she does? He said, yeah, she spends way too much money at Christmas too. I wanted to hit the guy in the mouth, because, I was being serious and I had a crown problem, and he's, and I'm okay with
joke about it, huh?
Well, it's just our whole life,
People don't know. They know.
I lived 1 hour from an HTC in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it until I was 45 when we moved to another town and a different doctor, sent me there. So when a guy like Dr. Joe talks, I listen.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's been down there, there's a lot of new stuff.
Doctor with hemophilia, educated. That's a valuable resource.
Attention.
I appreciate that, Rocco. Really having patients connect with us on these platforms is really key, because there's a lot of patients in need. A lot of patients are lost in the healthcare system. They don't know where to go, and we're a conduit that can plug them into the right resources to get the right education to possibly make the right next treatment decision for them, or even speak to a doctor. HemoLife platform is really an awesome way to connect with the community.
I believe something needs to be expanded because, like I said, there's a lot of people need to hear the gospel of what we're spreading. And it's raw, it's real. You look all through the internet, you won't get this anywhere else. It's real life people. It's about what we deal with.
Hey, Rocco, I have a really quick question for you. So if you had the ability to connect with a a hematologist, okay? And you could do it right from your phone, just right from your phone, from the comfort of your home. Is that something you'd be interested in for getting information and also maybe even getting a treatment plan? Is that something that's like exciting for you in 2026? Or now I'll just go to
Absolutely,
the
because sitting around waiting for the HTC to get your appointment, sometimes, I'm a year and a half away to my next appointment.
Really? How far away
Yeah.
is the HCC?
It's about 90 miles from here.
Okay.
They seem to be a good, it's a fine, but they really seem to be busy over there.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of it, like everyone I've been to. They're in the middle of an oncology center, and they're kind of shoved off to the corner, pretty much. But I would like to have more access.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of hemophiliac patients in 2026. You think this would be not an issue, but it is. We have a lot of patients that are actually having issues with access, getting into their hematologist in a timely manner. We're seeing this issue, and there's a platform that provides an ease of access. Really, these telehealth consultations from the comfort of your home. We're actually partnered with a company called Zebra for Care, and what they do is they connect hemophiliacs to a platform. They can speak to a hematologist. It's really awesome. LA, tell me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing platform. I mean, like you said, we have so many patients that reach out to us. They say that it takes forever to get into an HCC appointment, and with the emergence of gene therapy coming, there's so much confusion around it, so little education that truly sinks into us, and that we can articulate and understand. Hey, is this truly beneficial for my life? And so Zebra for Care has created a 5-minute assessment that you take online, and then it immediately gives you the results, and you can do one or two things with it. You can take those results and just give them to your hematologist, or you can go talk to a board certified hematologist online. And then from there, they'll set you up with blood work as well. And it happens within a week or so, or even a week. I'm not even sure if it takes that long to get in.
Yeah, it's
Do you
pretty
remember, Dr.
awesome.
Joe?
I mean, yeah. You can get in very quickly. What they do is they connect you with the hematologist online, the telehealth appointment, and then if you're a candidate, then they connect you with the hemophilia treatment center that's local for you to start getting more information and maybe even treatment for gene therapy. It's a really awesome platform, and this is what I love is we started, a Hemo Life podcast. Now we have a telehealth hematologist. We also have a doctor that is hemophilia. Now we're making it easier for folks to connect through the community and not be left on an island. I mean, Rocco said, his HTC is 90 minutes away. He's got an hour plus drive. There's other people in other states that are got a 6-hour drive. And, this is something that there has to be a better mousetrap. At the end of the day, there has to be a better solution. And now solutions are starting to emerge. Connecting with the community is through the Hemo Life podcast.
Well,
now connecting to a
I just have one
hematologist.
thing. I am 62 and a half. Everything's changing a lot quicker than it used to. I know that's a fact. And every once in a while, you wake up. Today I woke up and I could barely lift my arm up. I don't know if I slept on it wrong or whatever, but it would be nice to have a little bit more accessible. I'd love to be able to pick up a phone call and say, hey, I got this problem. Would you listen to what I got?
Even in emergency situations, Dr. Joe and we were working with a patient who could not get a hold of his hematologist, was having an emergency. So, I mean, something like that.
Some of the HTCs I've been to, too, it's only certain days a week, and then on certain times of day you can call them.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's, and nothing against them. It's just that, they're limited basis.
No, I mean, it's still a very dangerous disorder in some cases, depending on where the bleeding location is and what happens. We need that quick access and answers.
Oh, that'd be great,
Yeah.
Dial 800, Dr. Joe.
That's the number. All right, Rocco. Hey, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this event.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm excited for the rest of the day here.
It's going to be great.
We're going to bring on our next guest.